What's going on in here? Have the brother-in-law's Cub Cadet, dropping in another motor for him. Kohler cracked a block at 166 hours. So on this one, we have very low compression in both cylinders. The owner said it ran last year. There's no reason not to believe him. My guess, judging by all the debris, is that something got caught in a timing belt and probably caused it to jump timing. But we shall see. The deck has a little bit of damage. Let's see if we can't do a little something with this. Okay guys, it's not finished yet, but at least it's somewhat functional. I'm not gonna put a ton of work into it and getting all this straightened out perfectly until we get the machine going, but this works for now. Here you can see the other side, just a couple little small welds. Got most of it straightened out. Not the prettiest welds. I'll never call myself a welder, but it works. Okay guys, so with these Hondas, you see a lot of this. For some reason, mice like to get in here. This actually has good spark, but what I have a feeling has happened is this belt has jumped or slipped big time, and this belt has a lot of wear on it already. I don't know if you can kind of see that. So we'll line up the marks and see what's going on. Okay guys, it's gonna be hard to see. Right here you can see the line on the flywheel with the T. And there's the mark that the flywheel should line up with. Back here, I marked the arrow a little bit with some black paint just so you can see. And you can see how far that is off. So that's what is left of our victim there. There's definitely bone and fur and everything else. One other thing, I can't remember what the deflection is. I think it's supposed to be 4 millimeters, but this belt has a lot more than that. So that belt's probably gonna get replaced. The water pump seems to be still in good shape and everything else is working good. So we may try to reset this belt just to start it, but with it being that far out of timing, we can see that that's most likely the problem. And if we do line up those marks to where they're supposed to be, you can see that the flywheel is off a lot. The arrow is up here and our mark is somewhere down here. So we were able to slip the belt off. That's how much play there is in this. And because of that, we slipped the timing belt off the cam gear and then we slipped it back on in the correct position. So before we had about 30 pounds of pressure, and we're gonna redo this and see what we've got now. This belt still needs to be replaced, but we'll give it a shot. Oh yeah, so probably about maybe 125, 130 PSI, up from 30, that's pretty good. And considering how much play is in this timing belt, we're probably losing about I don't know, maybe 2 to 4 degrees just in this slop. So I think what we're gonna do is pull this flywheel off, order the proper timing belt, and we'll probably retest the compression, but going from 30 to 120, it shows run now, so big improvement. Okay guys, the new timing belt is on. As you can see, we've got all of our timing marks aligned. The flywheel and the cover piece is back on along with the coil. For you guys that need to know, here is the Honda part number. The old belt was not in terrible condition, but definitely it stretched quite a bit. I did not do the water pump adjustment on this. I was able to slide this belt back on with quite a bit of effort, and it turned out to be pretty much spot on. So I have the correct amount of deflection, and it did take some effort just to do it like that, but I didn't have to break the water pump loose. If you guys do, there's a bolt back here on the very back that is a pain in the behind, so just be aware. Your torque for this, I want to say it's around 78 foot-pounds if I'm not mistaken. I torqued mine to right around 70-ish. It should be fine for all intents and purposes. The coil gap is set right at 10 thousandths, which should be pretty much the middle ground for it. And this is pretty much ready to go back together. So now we pray to the Honda gods and look for an update. I want to point out a couple small things real fast. First off, if you're going to pull the flywheel off, just go ahead to your local parts store and get this kit. You can rent it for about 20 bucks, and then when you return it, you get all your money back anyway. And there's the number on it. Use the long bolts. They are perfect for the 3 holes in the flywheel. And I mean, it makes it so much easier to get this bad boy off. Everything's pretty much about together now. We've got our covers put back on. We put a little grease just to help everything kind of slide in a little better. We've opened up all of our clamp points. Our coil and plugs are back in. And we're going to go ahead and lift this bad boy back in. Okay guys, so this is the good news, is that everything seems to be working on it. I still have to hook up the PTO and the throttle linkage. That I had taken and sprayed out the radiator really good just while I had it out. And as you can see, there's no coolant in that. That's all just water. So that surprise was just all the water getting pulled through by the fan. We got a couple things we need to square away here. So right here, obviously we've got a little bit of a leak. We're going to have to see if we can tighten that cover down properly. But I mean, just the fact that it starts and runs is a miracle. So it seems to run pretty well. I'll start it up for just a second because I have not capped off the coolant in it. So we'll just hit it real fast. Very quiet plugged in. I know it starts easy too. These things go together really easy. It took me maybe 45 minutes to have the engine completely back in by myself. I was able to lift the engine and put it in there by myself. And granted, I am a bigger guy, but it was pretty simple. I didn't break my back trying to do it. All these holes have nuts on the back of them where they're threaded, as you can see here. So putting in and removing this, putting in, if I could talk, and removing the engine is really simple in these. Very, very simple motors to work on, really straightforward. I mean, everything about these is really good quality. I mean, we'll fix this because I was checking the valve clearances. So, I mean, overall, I'm very impressed. If you have a chance to grab one of these, whether it's the 13 horsepower, or especially if you can find one of the 18 horsepower ones, these are just really well built, good quality machines. I don't have any special tools here. I've got a good set of ratchet wrenches. You can take these apart with pretty much a 10 millimeter, a 11 millimeter, a 12 millimeter, 13 millimeter, 14 millimeter ratchet wrench. Having a set of sockets definitely comes in handy for some spots, but I mean, you could do these pretty simple with bare minimal tools. And there's enough videos out there to really walk you through everything. For a little 360cc 2-cylinder, they're fairly stout, and once again, liquid cooled. Good bang for your buck mowers. I mean, very impressed. Alright guys, we're going to do one final update on this. So, everything's back together. The machine has been run. There's still a little bit of carburetor tuning to do. This machine came with 2 carburetors. One of them was the original. The one that's on now was one the gentleman had gotten. It definitely needs to be probably cleaned. Also tweaked a little bit. But other than that, the machine runs fairly well. We're going to do a compression test. Prior to everything, we were at 30 pounds. So I know already since it runs, it's going to be way higher than that. So here we go. That's with the other spark plug out and the throttle wide open. And that's, I would say, really good. for a used Honda engine. Sitting probably right around 130, and that's up from 30 pounds. So very easy, simple fix.